I was at a private dinner for 8 very important people. I was not invited to sit at the dinner table, but I still got to witness the extraordinary events, the inflated egos, and the bizarre conversations that took place that night. The shocking manifestations of fragile masculinity and the hypocrisy around corruption in power were both two very strong triggers that made me fume with anger. So following that universal old wisdom that says revenge is a dish better served cold, I cooked the story of that night in a novel called Dinner for 8, عشاء ل8 أشخاص. While writing this novel, and throughout the writing process, I was enlightened to make light of my heavy feelings and to see the funny, the ridiculous, the mundane, and the common in the 8 personalities that were present at that dinner. Writing was such a catharsis that not only did it heal me from the resentment I had towards these prestigious guests at the dinner, but also I got to see them under a different light that showed me their fragility and complexity while still exposing their lies. At the end, I had committed a better and rather more beautiful crime. A dark comedy that exposes the lies of the VIPs ruling our world. The novel was well received and sold out in many Arab countries, and it invited readers to think critically about these themes of fragile masculinity and corruption in power. Also, I was able to introduce another theme and cause that I care so profoundly about, which is climate change. And so, throughout this story, the dinner became more inclusive. The story broke the exclusivity of those 8 people and invited the readers to join at the dinner table and to think about these topics and to be one of the guests at this table with the 8 other strong and powerful symbols of domination and power in our world, whether in politics, in the economy, in culture, in arts, in media, in religion, and in society, the patriarchy. And so, while exposing these lies, the themes of fragile masculinity, climate change, and corruption in power were introduced and revealed and discussed. So in a world where very few VIPs are ruling our lives and telling our stories and eating us for dinner, how can we turn our frustration and anger into a beautiful crime? How can we take that resentment and turn it into a different story, a constructive idea, a call for action? Looking at the stories of other criminals who have made rather more beautiful crimes than mine, and yet their stories tell us that there are 3 conditions to make a beautiful crime. They're related to content, form, and the process itself of committing the crime. So what about the content? Every beautiful crime tells the truth. Even the greatest novel of fantasy, the most dramatic theater plays, the most surreal movies, even in these lies of fiction lies the truth. So whether you're telling the truth bluntly, as it is, or in a fictionalized, imaginative way, telling the truth in a world of lies becomes a criminal act. And you, young people, are the most capable, authentic truth tellers, because aging is a corrupting process. And as we grow older, we learn to fear more and to lie better. But young people still have the audacity and the courage and the authenticity and the purity to harness the power of truth and to speak truth to power. Young people, as Saadawi puts it, in a world of lies, the most perilous of acts is telling the truth, and young people can't tell that truth. So in a world that normalizes lies, filters, pretentiousness, fakeness, hypocrisy, telling the truth can become a crime. But what makes it a beautiful crime? There's another condition related to form. Because even though truth is always relevant, there is something that can make truth more attractive and appealing, and that is creativity. Free and creative ways of expressing ourselves through arts and activism can turn the truth and tell it in a way that's more exciting, that's more convincing, that's more piercing. When we are innovating in the ways we express ourselves and in the way we organize our resistance, we are able to affect the minds and the hearts of the people, making truth more piercing, making truth more convincing, making truth and our crime more beautiful. And in the process, a third condition shows up. And that one is related to the transformative magic of arts. Because when we are organizing our thoughts and actions, when we are channeling our negative feelings, when we are acting from a reflective mindset rather than a reactive one, when we are turning our negative anger and energy and dissent into a search for beauty and for a creative way to tell the truth, we are turning hate into love. That's when we can see the perpetrators included in our world without releasing them from being accountable for their responsibility in the problems they create. Because unlike ugly crimes, unlike horrible crimes, beautiful crimes are inclusive. They do not exclude. They can still show us the complexity of the world. They can still include the perpetrators in creating a solution without disguising their responsibility in the problem. When we are making a beautiful crime, we are seeing the world beyond a Manichaean, simplistic duality and division. We are looking at it with layers, with a more inclusive and open vision. So, in these dark times, where even our leaders are provoking us to make ugly crimes, to eliminate each other, to hurt each other, to eradicate each other, to cancel each other. Remember, truth can hurt, but it doesn't have to kill. And I invite you today, instead, to commit a beautiful crime. So in the zeitgeist of ugly lies, remember to commit beauty. Remember to commit to the truth. Thank you.